Greetings, Archmage Fang here. Another book review for you. I'm going away from the fantasy medieval RPG genre and I'm going to concentrate on something different. Superheroes. The hero system. Based off of Champions, it is basically a toolkit which allows you to create any type of character in any setting, no matter how crazy. It comes from Champions, which is the primary superhero game, and I find it to be a terrific system. There is a lot of negativity with it, and I do agree with some of it. The fact that there's a lot of maths involved in this, and it can be quite difficult to get to grips with. But once you get to grips with it, it is an awesome system. It allows you to create any setting, any game. You want to create a fantasy game, on you go. You want to create a dark gothic punk, off you go. You want to create spaceships and sci-fi. It's in there. There are a lot of other sub-games that are based on the hero system, such as Ninja Hero, which is based on martial artists. You've got Champions and Dark Champions, which is, as I said, the superheroes like Superman, and you've got Dark Champions, which is the Batman side, you know, full of play like Punisher or Green Arrow or whoever. You've got Star Hero, which is based off sci-fi. You've got Fantasy Hero, based off sword and sorcery. You've got, what do you have? You have Pulp Hero as well, which is based off the pulp adventures of the 1920s. Something I'd really love to run in the future, which I've not had a chance to yet, but will. Okay, so let's go on to character creation. Character creation is basically a point-buy system, but it is a bit finicky. What I mean by that is, depending on the type of game you're running, because you're not going to have superheroes running around in this. You might want superheroes running around in a sci-fi setting, but generally, if you're doing like Star Trek or something like that, you won't. So first, they give you get basic points, and then you get a ceiling, which is how many points you can put into each characteristic, your strength, your dexterity, your stamina, whatever. And it obviously changes depending on what type of game you're playing. For example, if you're playing like Star Hero, where you're basically Ensign fucking brings up the starship Utopia or whatever, you know, you're going to be basically a normal, standard normal, or skilled normal with 25 base points to build your character. However, if you're doing like Pulp Hero, for example, it'd probably be a powerful character in case you get 100 points to build a character, and as a superhero you can get up to 400. It's crazy. And again, you get a ceiling, so if you're playing a normal human, then obviously you can't go higher than, I think it's 17 for your strength and stuff like that. Again, depending on what type of character you want to play. Now, the superhero game, it can be finicky because obviously you don't just have superheroes, you have like humans who have super abilities. For example, Iron Man, who has his power armor, or, you know, Doctor Strange, who's a normal human but has like super magics. So yeah, your characteristics, which is like your strength, your intelligence and such. But you've also got skills, so if you're playing more of a Batman type character, then you'll probably put more of your points into skills than you would. Like if you're playing Superman, you're going to put your points into characteristics like strength and stuff like that, whereas just Batman, you're going to more skills. And this comes from everything from computer programming to criminology to deduction, sleight of hand. Different skills. There's also a page on creating your own skills, if it's not in here. Going from that, you've got prerequisites, which are perks. So this could be stuff like you can be rich, you can have deep cover, you can have computer anonymity, fringe benefits, so you can have like, so you can be like pals with the FBI and get their abilities and stuff like that, and get their stuff like that. You can have contacts. Figure it like backgrounds of vampire. Then you get talents, which are more like how to explain this. Like merits and flaws of vampire, or we call them in D&D, not skills but perks, is it? Yeah, but it's basically stuff like danger sense, combat look, resistance, stuff like that. Then you get the powers, and this is where it really, really gets confusing because you get all sorts of powers. Anything you can think of is probably, anything you can think of, you could probably create as a form of power. So find the list. because it has like basically most things you can think of, but you might think, oh, but I want, I don't know, think of argument, I want powers like Rogue from X-Men. Okay, well then you'd apply absorption and other things to get those type of powers. You might want, I don't know, Iron Man, because it's actual innate power. It doesn't have battle armor in it, but you could take, I don't know, armor and then build off it with energy, blast, flight, invisibility, whatever, and then create your battle armor that way. So it's very versatile for creating any type of hero and any type of power you can think of. You also, on top of that, get limitations. Now, limitations in this is what makes the power. For example, if you create, I don't know, Iceman from the X-Men, I won't go into X-Men a lot, I haven't read many of their comics in ages, but you can get what's known as a limitation, where it has ice powers, but they're all weak to fire, so it cost less points because you group them all together because the ice powers weakness being fire. Also, again, Iron Man's battle armor, for example, you can take it as a focus that you can wear, but it can be destroyed, it can be damaged, you can lose it, and because of that, all them conjuring powers that are in that armor again cost a lot more, a lot less, because it's a limitation. So you get that type of thing as well. So you get limitations. Yeah, power limitations. Again, with the ice thing, you can fit it into framework. Oh, sorry, no, wrong. Limitations is to run like armor and stuff like that, or say Doctor Strange's eye Agamotto would be a focus around his neck, and if he loses it, he loses some of his power. So yeah, that's a limitation. But one last thing about the Iceman example is framework. We put it all together, and then it will effectively say the same thing. Then you can group them together in a framework, and okay. So all in all, so you've got stats for building bases. So you can build like the Watchtower from Justice League or the Avengers Mansion. This is the 5th edition, yeah. With 6th edition coming out, this is 5th, but it's not really much difference to me. I prefer this because I've got all the books for it, because you've got hundreds of splat books. For example, we've got Book of the Machine, which is about Mechanon, because this was a version of Ultron. Yeah, you got Doctor Strange, like Doctor Doom, but you got stuff on it as well. You've got extra stuff, so you got like Arcane Adversary, so you could stuff for your magic, and with that, it also tells you about the different realms of magic you can visit. Yeah, but this is really all you need, because it's got everything in it. It just requires a lot of maths, especially when it comes to combat. Combat is kind of, it can drag out in this because you get one turn which is a minute long, and then each turn is broken down into 12 segments, which are 5 seconds each. Is it 5 seconds? Yeah, because 5 12 is 60. We're trying that up now. 5 10 is 50. Yeah, 60. So yeah, each one is 5 seconds up, but like, how high your character's speed rating is how many segments they get to act within that turn. So if you've got really low speed, you might only work for two of those segments, whereas if you're like a speedster, you'll probably be able to go for all 12. And again, with that, it can really, really drag out, especially with somebody playing like a really big, what's called a brick character, so like your Hulk or the Thing or something like that. They can be a lot slower than, say, something like Flash. So the Flash is getting action every segment, whereas the guy playing the Hulk's just there twiddling his thumbs waiting for his turn to act. So again, you might want to try and do some ground rules for that. Attacking can be quite difficult as well, because it's based on a thing called OCV and DCV, which is a offensive character value and defensive character value, and the result is 8 plus your character's OCV. So say your character's OCV is 10, so that'll mean 18. And then you roll 3d6, and whatever you get the 3d6, you minus that from your total. So say you have 18 and you roll 15 on the dice, that means you've got to put a that means you've got an attack of 3, which against their DCV, and say if their DCV is only 2, then you beat it. If it's higher, then you fail. Again, it can get, but it's one of those rules that once you get used to it, it really is not a big issue. I struggled with it at first, but now I can run a game of Hero and no problem. And I'm numerexic, so yeah. But again, it can throw you off at first, but do not be discouraged. Character generation again can take a long time, because not only do you have points for your character, you might decide, oh, I want my character to have a base. So then that means you then got to take the base, because then the base is like every point, and it's divided by 5. So if you take 20 points, is it divided times by? I think it's times by actually. I haven't played this in forever, but for Angler effects, don't bother with that because I usually play superheroes, so falling rock isn't really going to affect them much. Weapons and armour, so you get weapons and armour for your characters if you're playing like the Punisher or Batman, or I wouldn't say Batman because Batman don't use guns, but sorry about this, computers, I think it's just because you build your own computers and stuff as well, animals, equipment, automaton, build your own robots, build your own computers, vehicles and bases. Yeah, it's 1 character point per 5 points to build a base or a vehicle, and I think it's the same for computers as well. Because you can build your own like Ed 209 from Robocop or whatever you want to build. Don't know straight from DC and Marvel Robocop, but I guess that's just an example really. Yeah, but if you're building like the Batmobile, for example, or the Batplane, you can then build it the same way as you build your character, but you have to convert character points from your character. So you use 20 to build a house. That means you have 100 points to then build the house. So you can build it with security, and you can build it with all sorts. And that's the reason why it takes long. Not just that, but character building takes long because you've got to do a lot of math to decide how many points you spend on powers, what type of powers you want. Can you put it in the framework? Can you make it a focus? Can you do this? Can you do that? So yeah, it basically boils down to a lot of maths. The easiest way I find to do it is to say to somebody, okay, what kind of character do you want to build? And they'll say, I want to build someone like the Hulk. They'll say, right, well, with the Hulk you'll need A, B, C, D, and I'll go through a list of what they'll need. And then they'll say, right, if you take this, it costs this, if you take this, it costs that. And they can decide to say, no, I don't want that, yeah, I want that. I'm going to change that to this. And it's kind of funny, really, because they'll say, like, I want to build a character like the Hulk, and then they'll end up finishing with a character who's nothing like the Hulk. It's more sort of someone completely different. But that is the beauty of this system. You'd be surprised what you can come up with. So, in conclusion, a little difficult to get around maybe the first couple of weeks or so. If you're playing this as a campaign, I'll do it as a one-shot first to get used to the rules. Then I would hammer out character generation and learn how to do that next, because then when you get ready for the campaign, the maths should not be as tricky, and you can just spend a session building up characters, doing your characters, and then get into the campaign. It is definitely worth a try. I've played quite a lot of superhero themed games. I've played villains and vigilantes. I've played Mutants and Masterminds. I've even played the old Marvel RPG as well. That's a good one, I like that, but the Karma system, because I like the Punisher, and I can't play the Punisher because of the Karma system, but hey, can't play the Punisher in this. But yeah, if you get over all the maths and you can work out all the kinks with a one shot, I'd recommend playing this, give it a shot. Again, it may be off-putting, and if you jump to a campaign straight away, it's going to be very off-putting. But again, terrific game. You can practically create anything you want. You can create any world you want. You can create any. I mean, if you really wanted, you could have like Sauron fighting in underwater with T-800s from the Terminator or something. You can go completely off the wall with world building, and with character creation. You can do the same. You can practically create any scenario you want. I've run the Terminator from this. I've run Dragon Ball Z from this. I've run Naruto from this. Yeah, I've done my own version of Street Fighter 2. I've done my own version of Mortal Kombat. Again, you can do anything you want from this. You can just pick an idea, plan it. It takes a bit of planning to get together, but once it gets together, it works just fine. Well, that's Mage Fang signing off, and venture on.